Hello everyone, welcome to the Literary and Jury Charge for the 100 class. We're going to start out with some Congressional Record and the subject is Medal of Honor. Okay. Here we go. Ready? Mr. President, today I am reintroducing a bill on behalf of myself and my colleague Howard Davis that will direct the Army Board for Correction of Military Records to reconsider the application of Mr. Lawrence R. Matthews of Lubbock, Texas, for consideration for the Congressional Medal of Honor. In determining his eligibility, the board should apply the standards for such an award that were in effect on July 27, 1941. Actually, our bill is identical to legislation that was introduced 2 years ago. We are interested in Mr. Matthews' unusual predicament and would like to assist him. Mr. Matthews is a military hero from World War II. Since 1941, he has continued his struggle to receive the Congressional Medal of Honor. He was recommended for the medal by his commanding officer after distinguishing himself in the battle against the Germans and in the capture of Hitler, including the Operation Queen. It is our belief that if Mr. Matthews is judged by the criteria that were in effect, at the time, he was recommended for the Congressional Medal of Honor, he would have qualified. The legislation we propose is that Mr. Matthews be considered for the medal under the criteria in effect back in 1941. Mr. Matthews has suffered many disappointments in his elusive quest for the Congressional Medal of Honor. Yet, after all these disappointments, he remains a courageous and loyal American who believes in liberty and the democratic society. This is our opportunity to honor a truly outstanding American whose spirit and tenacity are undying. Mr. President, I ask that the bill be printed in the record. There being no objection, the bill will be printed in the record. All right. I've got some expert opinion. Let me give you a word list. You're going to hear, let's see, chloride, methylene, epoxy, resin. Let's see here. Polyester, nauseated, bronchitis, respiratory, pipe fitter. Looks like that's it. All right, here we go. Ready? Your Honor, if I may, I would like to read into the record Dr. Lane's report I examined Brian Crandall in my office on July 24, 2013. This patient is a 20-year-old pipe fitter who had worked at Hillshire Brothers starting in May of 2013. His last day of work there was October 7, 2014, which was the date of his injury. I'm sorry, that's supposed to be 2012, not 2014. In this man's work, he sets a power drill into a free-standing machine. He will then run fiberglass through a resin, the resin in the past being polyester, but being more recently epoxy resin. The resin has caused the patient severe problems. The epoxy gave him a good deal of nasal problems and some respiratory problems. The polyester made him dizzy and nauseated. As he was working on October 7, 2012, his right hand caught on the drill and was crushed. The patient was taken to the Cleveland Community Hospital, where he was kept for 11 days due to complications. He understands that he sustained fractures above his wrist. A plate was put into his wrist, and the wrist is very tender. He returned to Ohio General Hospital 2 weeks ago so that the plate could be removed. The sutures are still in place. While the patient worked, he frequently inhaled the dust of fiberglass. It bothered him a good deal, and the patient began coughing. His nose would often bleed, and he became short of breath with exercise. The patient recalled that of the chemicals he worked with, he can name 4: polyester in its resinous form, methylene chloride, epoxy resin, and a material he calls gel coat. The patient has smoked about half a package of cigarettes a day for 3 years, leading up to 1.5 packs a day. The blood pressure is 110/80. The chest is negative. The right hand has limited mobility. The abdomen is negative. The chest is clear. The lateral view of the chest is within normal limits. An anterior-posterior view of the chest shows some increase in markings suggestive of bronchitis, but no other abnormalities show. The patient did not work at this job very long. The damage that has been caused suggests that the patient probably has not yet developed a working disability. However, in the future, he should no longer work with plastics. That is my medical opinion. All right. I've got an article for you on the metals. And you are going to hear conductor, craftsman, artisans, electricity, centigrade, vapor, copper, iron, abundance, bronze, silver, alloy, carbon. Here we go. Ready? Silver has been known to man almost as long as gold and is almost as abundant as gold. Because it is the whitest of all metals, silver has caught the eye of artisans and craftsmen. Silver is harder and stronger than gold and is an excellent conductor of heat and electricity. Silver melts at 960.8 degrees centigrade and boils at 1950 degrees centigrade, emitting a blue vapor. Copper was discovered, like its other sister metals, during the Stone Age. Along with iron, copper is one of the most widely used metals. Copper is second only to silver in its ability to conduct heat and electricity. Because of its abundance and strength, copper is used for everything from electric wire to pots and pans. Bronze is an alloy of copper. The single metal the world depends on most is iron. When certain other elements are added to iron, steel is created. Iron is the fourth most abundant element in the Earth's crust. The strength and hardness of iron are twice that of gold. Iron melts at 1535 degrees centigrade and boils at 3000 degrees centigrade. Okay, moving right along, back to jury instructions. Here we go. You cannot look into a person's mind to find intent. Intent to kill must be found, if found at all, from the defendant's acts, words, and statements, if any, and from all the facts and circumstances, in this case, bearing upon intent. Intent should not be confused with motive. While proof of intent is necessary to a conviction, proof of motive is not. Motive refers to a person's reason for doing something. While motive may be shown as a circumstance to aid in establishing the guilt of a defendant, the state is not required to prove motive on the part of the defendant in order to convict. Evidence of motive does not, by itself, establish guilt. you should give it the weight you believe it deserves under all of the circumstances. You're satisfied beyond a reasonable doubt at the conclusion of the trial that the defendant directly committed both elements of first-degree intentional homicide, or that the defendant intentionally aided and abetted the commission of that crime. You should find the defendant guilty. If you are not so satisfied, you must find the defendant not guilty. Count 2 charges the defendant with mutilating a corpse, also as a party to the crime. Section 939.05 of the Criminal Code of Wisconsin provides that whoever is concerned in the commission of a crime is a party to that crime and may be convicted of that crime, although that person did not directly commit it. Okay, we'll stop there and I will switch over to a story. Actually, this is from the book, Awaken the Giant Within. We'll pick up where we left off. Ready? I'll never forget the day it really hit me that I was truly living my dream. I was flying my jet helicopter from a business meeting in Los Angeles, traveling to Orange County on the way to one of my seminars. As I flew over the city of Glendale, I suddenly recognized a large building, and I stopped the helicopter and hovered above it. As I looked down, I realized this was the building that I'd worked in as a janitor a mere 12 years ago. In those days, I had been concerned whether my 1960 Volkswagen would hang together for the 30-minute trip to work. My life had been focused on how I was going to survive. I had felt fearful and alone, but that day, as I hovered there in the sky, I thought, what a difference a decade can make. I did have dreams back then, but at the time, it seemed they'd never be realized. Today, though, I've come to believe that all my past failure and frustration were actually laying the foundation for the understandings that have created the new level of living I now enjoy. As I continued my flight south along the coastal route, I spotted dolphins playing with the surfers in the waves below. It's a sight that my wife Becky and I treasure as one of life's special gifts. Finally, I reached Irvine. Looking below, I was a little disturbed when I saw that the off-ramp to my seminar was jammed with bumper-to-bumper traffic for more than a mile. I thought to myself, I hope whatever else is going on tonight gets started soon so that the people coming to my seminar arrive on time. But as I descended to the helipad, I began to see a new picture. Thousands of people being held back by security where I was just about to land. Suddenly, I began to grasp the reality. The traffic jam had been caused by people going to my event. Although we had expected approximately 2,000 attendees, I was facing a crowd of 7,000 in an auditorium that would only hold 5,000. When I walked into the arena from the landing pad, I was surrounded by hundreds of people who wanted to give me a hug or tell me how my work had positively impacted their lives. Okay, and that concludes our literary and jury charge for the 100 class. Have a great day.